What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top-rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome and thanks for tuning in. This is Tom Hickey from 2020 Media, and you are listening to NBT Bank's On the Scene podcast, reaching over 250,000, that's 250,000 readers of the Jewish Ledger, weha.com, and West Hartford Magazine, live 24/7, 365. Today, we are joined, pleased to have with us NBT Bank. We'll make those introductions and talk about that in a few minutes. But first, I'd like to say hello and welcome to my co-host, Bob Carr. Hi, Bob.
Hello, Tom. Thanks for the introduction. So Tom Hickey, along with myself, Coach McCarty, and Ronnie Newton, are founders and owners of weha.com. Tom brings to West Hartford the Connecticut Jewish Ledger, West Hartford Magazine, which is West Hartford's original lifestyle magazine, The Taste of West Hartford, The Best of West Hartford. We just had our 10th anniversary this past fall, and other fun events throughout the year. Our podcast is assembled and posted by the Modern Observer Group of Middletown, Connecticut. And today our guests are Andreas Kapetanopoulos and Nicole Lent-Pollard from NBT Bank. And we're going to discuss different scams that happen in the marketplace and that we all as individuals, and me personally, have had experience with. So first, welcome, Nicole. Welcome, Andreas.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to be back.
And I think I say this, Andreas, every single time that Bob gives your introduction. I am always so impressed that your last name just flows off his mouth. It's
He's had enough practice now. No more excuses.
Yeah, that's right.
But next time I'll mess it up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So today we're talking about different scams that happen in the marketplace, and that's Nicole. That's your expertise. But I have something that I just went through myself, and I just got off the phone 10 minutes ago with a credit reporting agency. Someone, and this has kind of unsettled me a bit, had all my personal information and applied for a credit card from a major national bank. Luckily, something must have triggered because and they were turned down, and so we got a notification through Discover Card, which that we had an inquiry, and that started this whole ball rolling. So that was only 2 days ago when we got that notification. I wasn't able to call yesterday. I called this morning, and we get that call back. So whatever you can say to help people get through that particular process, if you have some insights that help with that, that would be great for me to hear.
Definitely. So I think the first thing that I want to tell people when things like this happen is don't panic, right? It seems very violating. It's very personal. Somebody steals your identity and start using it to take out cards, credit lines in your name. But the number one thing is just to slow down, and we can get this solved, right? You can reach out to any of the credit agencies to let them know to dispute the credit that you didn't attempt that transaction, opening that line, opening that account. You can put freezes on your credit reporting. You can do that pretty easily for all three credit bureaus, for Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Let them know that somebody was using your information, has your social security number, get an alert out there. Another thing that you can do for something like that, Bob, when that happens to you, is that, you can check your credit, make sure you're checking it. You can do it once a year for free, annualcreditreport.com. I tell people often, go out there on your birthday. Remember to do it every year, free to do. If you are a recent victim of fraud where you had identity theft or somebody had compromised your social security number in some way, I would advise that you wait, at least 30 days, just because it takes about that long for the credit reporting to start, so that you want to check your accounts to see if there's anything else on those trade lines that were reported that you didn't do. And then you can start the dispute process. So hopefully you've taken some of those actions, Bob. You were able to report it to your financial institutions and get everything, kind of set up there. Did you have some luck?
Yeah, so I did freeze my credit report. I did refreeze my credit report on Experian, I believe, because that was actually on the phone with. Then we're going to have to go on and freeze them on the other other services. And I think I have to sign up for some sort of, auto notification.
Credit monitoring.
Credit monitoring, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and to your first thing, I did panic. I went,
Yeah. It's a natural reaction, right? It feels very personal. It doesn't feel good, right? It's doesn't give us the warm fuzzies, but something else that probably also doesn't give us the warm fuzzies is that you really have to think about all of your information now is that it's already compromised. There are so many different data breaches out there that a lot of your information is already out there. So you've got to be vigilant with what information you're sharing when somebody's calling, you're getting unexpected emails. They might be looking for that last piece of information that they just don't have. And if you give that away, they've got the keys to the kingdom, and they can just start using all of that, right? Impersonating you, using your credit, doing transactions, on your behalf, maybe not on your behalf, right? You didn't want them to, but using that account in that way. So that's the number one thing, right? Just be vigilant and know it's out there, and don't share any additional information with any unsuspected, phone calls, emails, etc.
No,
Yeah, Nicole,
when Bob calls or someone, just do they believe you? I mean, it's like what happens? I mean,
what was it? What was that, Tom?
Do they believe that this really happened to you? Is it difficult? Is it hard to convince them that, Bob makes the phone call and says my identity was stolen? Does the person on the other line say, "Oh yeah, sure"?
Oh, no. I think now it's such commonplace where there's all those breaches out there that as long as you're calling the right party, right? You want to make sure that you are calling a number. So if you're calling to report it to your financial institution, make sure you are doing the outbound call to a phone number that you know and you trust and you verify, and let them know what's going on. Your bank is a great resource, your bankers, to reach out and kind of get some of those next steps, right? Here's what happened. What do I need to do? That's something that we're always trying to educate customers on.
I mean, it's funny because I think I don't want to divulge anything that you don't want to share, Bob, but this sounds like maybe it was a major credit card or something. But I think maybe my first phone call would be to someone like you guys, would be to the local, my local banker, and just say, hey, this
somebody you trust.
What do I do? Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. You really have to be, on the lookout right now for all of the social engineering attempts that are out there. So if that term isn't familiar to you, maybe you haven't heard that before, but I'm sure you're familiar with what it stands for. It's really based on the human tendency to trust and then to trick somebody into giving out info, your personal, your financial, to get you to bypass like a normal process or procedure and do something you wouldn't normally do. When we talk about social engineering, that's really kind of all the phishings. Okay, so you got your smishing, you got your vishing, and your phishing. So phishing would be through your emails. Smishing would be through text messages, and then vishing is for voice calls. So, if you were to receive a phone call, telling you won something, telling you that you didn't pay a bill, and you're getting that incoming call, you would always want to hang up and then call back a number you trust to verify, because what they might be trying to do, the end of the scam is maybe they're trying to say, hey, we didn't receive your payment this month. Can you give us your full debit card number? Can you give us this personal information? Hey, let me verify you. What's your full social security number, date of birth, right? Get some of that information that then they can go use and use it against you somewhere else.
Right. And it's interesting. I can't remember when it was or who I was telling, but a few months back, someone had called me looking for information, and all I basically said to them was, "Well, you called me, so you must have the information,
right?
Why am I repeating it, a little bit?" And
yes.
The other end, they hung up, a little bit,
yeah.
So obviously, they
don't have great answers. Yeah, they'll either hang up or they'll kind of give you kind of a bogus answer, right? I've had ones where they say they're calling from your credit card company. Okay, which one? Oh, Visa, Discover Card, American Express. Oh, you're all combined now. We're one company. No, they're just trying to say anything they can to try to get you to respond, because hopefully you've got one of those 3 credit cards.
Interesting. And Bob, when it happened to you, nobody called you, or they notified you?
No, this is just somebody had my information. So as Nicole was saying, I mean, they could have gotten it from. So what we do as advertisers, right? I have some stuff going on in the background, so hopefully it's not too noisy. We aggregate content. So when you have when you are looking for advertising, you're looking for reaching out to people. We see it all the time when if you go online and you're searching for a new, new roof, right? All of a sudden, all your roofer information is going to come through even months after you've had the new roof put on. So
Sure.
those
The
ads are
ads.
so technically, I think what you're saying is social engineering in a similar sense, instead of advertising, is picking up information, bits of information.
Yeah.
Because all the
Yeah.
things that Nicole was talking about is that things that I do not do. Like if somebody calls me, if I call like on a credit card, I use the credit number on the back of the card, right?
Exactly.
And I don't hand out my data via text or via email. I might have done that at some point in the past,
Right.
or frankly, like you said, so, if somebody's been compromised, if somebody's system has been compromised, it has my address, my phone number, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and that data is now all being sold on a dark web, which is concerning, right? That's the concerning part of that.
For
But
sure.
we had discussed, so that's just happened to me. So I was kind of start off today with that. But we're looking at other ways that people should recognize how scams work. That's one of the things we want to
Sure.
talk about today, correct? So
Yeah. Let's get into some red flags for scams, right? So, no matter what the scam, you're going to see some different red flags that might kind of be the same over a variety of scams. You might get unexpected request, promise or a threat, sense of urgency. And maybe there's a required payment method that is untraceable, unrecoverable. Maybe somebody wants you to start doing deposits into like a Bitcoin ATM, setting up accounts in this way, letting you know that your accounts aren't safe and we're going to move money somewhere for you, asking you to do something, out of the norm. If it's, you want you to withdraw all the money in your account and go mail it somewhere, right, in cash. Like some of these things that if you stop to think for just a couple minutes, you would say, does this make sense? But all of those sense of urgency really kind of starts to cloud people's judgment, and they get nervous because of those other red flags, right? There's that threat. If you don't do this now, we're going to shut this off. We're going to charge you. You're not going to have access to your account, to your debit card, to, whatever it is you're trying to use or that they're telling you you're trying to use. And also just that gut feeling, right? Something just feels off. Go with that. Hang up, stop email, think about it, and reach out to a known contact, a number you trust and that you know.
I wondered too if you said something to them like, let me look into this or let me think about it, let me consult with my, significant other and I'll get back to you. How do I reach you? They probably wouldn't even give you a phone number.
Just hang up. They probably just hang right up. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So that's another great thing, right? To say, hey, let me call you back. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Andreas, I was thinking when Nicole and Bob were talking about this too, don't obviously share any important information, but how do you plan on this? Like, do banks or financial institutions say, X percentage of, our customers are going to get ripped off by, or is that up to the credit card companies? Like, so it doesn't impact, you guys, or how,
Well, I mean, there's different hacks that you have out there. I mean, the credit cards, people can have their accounts at the bank hacked. So it's really just the vigilance and talking to customers, making sure they're securing the passwords, not getting, that personal information out there. Just like you said, everything's out there, but not giving that extra bit. And they're getting more sophisticated all the time. You remember the old emails we would get where everything was misspelled and you could tell right off. It's, it's somebody, we know this is but now they're a lot tougher to detect, and you really have to hover over the email or something, kind of look to see what is the real source there. So, every time we're getting some sort of link, we're always looking at it, don't click on that link. Think first, think before you click. Yeah, that's what I always say. And just, take a step back and then look at it before you go. And then, because you're getting texts, you're getting phone calls, you're getting emails, they're bombarding you from all directions.
It's true.
So a question. So since you guys are a bank, and I've read about the people coming in, withdrawing funds, and I know that banks are keeping an eye out for that. So they're keeping an eye out for odd withdrawals or odd number withdrawals. Have you had that experience locally, or is it something is there a trigger? I don't want to give away any secrets, but obviously the bad guys already know the secrets. But are there triggers that your tellers know that, hey, this doesn't seem right? Just from that's the end of the scam standpoint.
Yeah. So I think just like I had mentioned before, some of the red flags, right, that the victims might be looking out for would be some similar types of red flags that are, branches for as well, right? If this is a transaction, ask different questions and just always trying to maintain that education, updating information for our customers, because prevention is really that key, and getting that knowledge out there so that everybody knows what to be on the lookout for, common scams that are out there, different trends that might be going on, so that we can get that out there to our customers so that they don't fall victim.
I do notice that it's on the media is more involved than they had been in the past. Some, like you were saying, Andreas, you would just hear these stories about, oh, my grandson's been kidnapped and, whatever. So I don't know, maybe it's just that
Yes.
people are more aware than they're just saying, oh, well, hang on a minute, let me call my grandson. I mean, that kind of thing, whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah, the grandparents ones are tough. I'm glad you brought that up, because some of the things that you can have education out there, but sometimes you aren't going to go back and read that when it's happening to you. So you've got to really try to calm down from that sense of urgency that it's happening right now, and try to think logically about calling your grandson to confirm these things. What happens in those types of scams is what they do is, sometimes the victim might give them away some of those pieces of information that now makes them feel more that this is a legitimate call. Okay. So fraudster calls somebody, says, hey, grandma, and it's your favorite grandson. And they say, oh, Johnny? Oh, yep, it's Johnny, right? So now they've got a name. So there's that part of that social engineering. They've got that to go on. Oh, I'm going to go to jail. I need money for an attorney. If I sound weird, it's because in the car accident, I broke my nose. So I don't sound like myself, or I've had a cold, right? They have some sort of excuse, and don't tell mom and dad, right? And it seems logical that if they're into some sort of trouble, they don't want mom and dad to know, but they don't want you to call mom and dad, because that ends the scam right there, right? Because Johnny's right there and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm right here. I haven't went anywhere today, right? So that ends the scam. So they're trying to just kind of play off of your own information that you're providing to say, oh, this must really be my grandson. And that makes sense that he doesn't sound the way he normally does.
Do you think, I just thought of this now, do you think with AI getting more and more sophisticated that this is going to become even more difficult or challenging? All of a sudden, if you heard your grandson's voice, or that kind of thing, or I mean, I don't know how.
Yeah, and I think I think it's a great point, right? Something that we have to keep on the forefront and think about. And similar things, again, just that slowing down and hanging up and calling. So even if you do think that it is somebody's voice that you recognize, again, they called you, hang up and call them back at a number you have for them, and see if it really is them that's giving you a call.
Okay. Bob, do you want to talk about, we talked about it earlier. One of the things was, what should, if pretend what Bob just told us wasn't real, but he suspected it, or he thought that maybe this was happening. What do you do then? Do same kind of thing, make the phone call to the bank?
Yeah, so great question, because I definitely want to share some next steps of what happens if you're the victim of fraud, right? So there's a couple different things you would want to do. Ultimately, report it, but where you report it might vary based on the type of situation you have. So if there's something with a customer that's over the age of 60, you can do adult protective services if there's any sort of concern that they're being scammed and need some additional support, right? So adult protective services is a great place to go. The Internet Crime Complaint Center, so it's the ic3.gov. This is excellent to report any internet-based crime, and that is directly with the FBI. So that is a wonderful place to report any sort of scam that somebody falls victim to involving the internet. And then for Bob's case too, something with identity theft, you can report to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, an identity theft report to let them know, here's what happened, and submit that report there. Obviously, law enforcement too, especially.
I'm sorry.
Did you do one?
Yeah, they told me to contact the FTC, and if you could say that IP was IP3.gov. IC3.
I see. For the Internet Crime Complaint Center. Yes. Okay. IC3.gov.
All right. That's good. I'm sorry. I knew to jump in there, but the FTC thing came out, and I want to make sure I got that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously, local law enforcement, a great resource, depending on what's going on, especially if one of the red flags that you're experiencing is being threatened in any sort of way. Good to get law enforcement involved. And, last but not least, should be one of your first calls, especially if there's anything with your accounts, definitely your financial institution.
Yeah. Back to NBT Bank, Andreas. There we go. I mean, that's, you really do wonder what you would do, and I'm happy that I haven't had to worry about it yet, but it probably is due to come. I mean, it's just, it seems to impact, everyone, right, Nicole? Is there?
Yeah. I mean, there's really no rhyme or reason, right? It can affect anybody or everybody. So it could be coming for you to have an attempt, but not everyone has to be a victim, right? So use this knowledge to be vigilant. Don't share any additional information. One of the other important things that I'll mention here is that if you have something for a security, for a multi-factor authentication, and you receive like a one-time PIN to your phone number, do not give that to anyone over the phone that's calling you to ask for it, especially if it goes against what it's saying, right? Usually those pins will say not to share with anybody. So just be really careful about getting information that could be a control and then sharing that with the wrong person.
Right. Excellent. All right. Bob, any other specific questions or?
No, I think
I liked leaving it on a positive note because I was afraid we were going to death. So I'm glad that we didn't. But I want to thank you, Nicole and Andreas and NBT Bank, for taking the time out to educate our listeners a little bit about what to pay attention to or how to try to prevent these kinds of things happening to you.
So one thing I wanted to bring up is I do have a great relationship with my banker, because my banker happens to be my wife. And so she worked in banking for 35 years. So even when I was on the fraud calls this morning, it was my credit card that was compromised, or my credit report that was compromised. I kept walking out to ask her questions, and hey, what do we do with this? Type of thing. So when having a relationship with your bank, and Andreas, if you want to speak to this, as a customer. What does that mean? How do you, what's is it coming in and seeing people, making sure you go to a teller? Is it talking to you? Is it, being in contact on a personal level? How best do you stay in contact with your financial institution?
I think it's all of the above that you mentioned, but first and foremost, when you're coming into the branch for a transaction, I think the frontline folks are always having that conversation. So don't think of them, they're prying. We're just asking questions and trying to, because sometimes a transaction might seem out of the ordinary. Somebody coming in all of a sudden wants to wire money out international. You never do that. So we're going to ask a couple questions, because once that money's gone, it's gone. We can't get it back. So it's just looking at catching those signals that there's just something just isn't right, and we want to make sure that we're vigilant as well.
Okay. There we go. Well, not everyone can be married to your wife, Bob. But everyone can bank at NBT Bank. so just do that. So I'll leave it at that. I just wanted to thank Nicole and Andreas at NBT Bank for helping alert some of our listeners to some of the potential scams that are out there. Please make sure that you thank Nicole and Andreas when you see them, but more importantly, start banking with our sponsor, who is NBT Bank, if you're not already, because without them, there would be no podcast. So we will look for you in the future on the scene.
What I'm looking for in a bank is one that's looking out for me, like NBT. I want a relationship and a team that supports me in my dreams. And when life gets challenging, I need a bank that's focused on what matters. Not to mention one that's been top rated by Forbes in trust, customer service, financial advice, and more. That's why when it comes to meeting my banking needs, it's always NBT. Learn more at nbtbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.